Hello and welcome back to part two of day one of the Startup Summit. Here in Abuja, Nigeria, we're streaming to you because it is powered by Strength Africa and Taiwo Adequaju, the startup specialist. It's been an amazing first half of the day where we've had panel sessions discussing human capital, and we've also had business from a women's perspective. And now we're about to have the first keynote speaker who's going to be sharing with us his own perspective about different things on businesses, and then we'll have a panel discussion on branding and PR. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have been having a great time and you're ready for a powerful afternoon session with our new set of guests that we're going to be having here today. My name is Madame Marola. I'm the summit anchor, and the team and I are excited to have you guys here. Coming up shortly is the keynote speaker for today, Mr. Charles Otudo. So permit me to read his bio. An engagement consultant. Over the years, he has enriched the branding landscape with his innovative approach to brand building across all sectors of the economy. An alumnus of the prestigious Wits Business School, South Africa, he is the principal consultant of Abstract Brand Management Consultants, a firm renowned for its out-of-the-box approach to brand strategy and engagement. He is an accomplished author, public speaker, and thought pioneer. His scholarly thoughts are caught in two of his publications, Brand Arise, the Nigerian Brand Renaissance, and the Charles Otudo Personal Brand Guide, Volume 1.0 and Volume 2.0. He believes entrepreneurship is the eventual fate of African economies. This has affected his investment in entrepreneurs through his hashtag COBMC series, that stands for Charles Otudo Brand Masterclass, that has held consecutively for over 4 years. He is passionate about strategy, brand building, and engagement, a beneficiary of numerous awards, including the Nelson Mandela African Leadership Award. He is a part and board of directors of the Nigerians in Diaspora, Europe, member of personnel, CITC Leadership Center, member advisory board, Diversity Global. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me great pleasure to bring up to the screen right now our keynote speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Charles Otudo. Please give him a virtual welcome. Good afternoon, sir, and it is an honor and a privilege to have you here with us at this Pioneer Startup Summit Nigeria.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me share my little thoughts on branding.
Okay, sir. So the floor is all yours now. So
There's no audio. Hello? Okay, audio. Hello? Audio. Waiting for audio. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, Africa. Can you hear me? My name is Charles Otudo. Can we all hear me?
We can hear
okay.
you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me very well?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. So good afternoon, Africa. My name is Charles Otudo. I want to say thank you to Taiwo Adequaju and the Strength Africa team for bringing me on this platform to share my thoughts on visibility and branding for startups. I've always said that entrepreneurship is the future and the bedrock of African economies. And I want to commend Taiwo Adequaju and his team for a wonderful job. The build up to this has been unprecedented. The quality of the speakers, the panelists is amazing. I want to say this is one of the biggest summits ever in the history of summits. It's a big one, and I pray that all those that are part of this will take advantage of the opportunity and have their takeaways from this 2-day summit. Once again, congratulations to Tayo and his team. Before I delve in, so congratulations, Tayo and your team are moving straight. One of my favorite quotes is this: brands rise and fall like empires. The battle for the psyche of target audience actually fought, lost or won at the point of purchase. That means that most of the purchasing decisions people make are actually taken at the point of purchase, not at the point where the manufacturer manufactures the goods, not at the point where you put together your communication materials. It's the top of the mind recall that invariably comes to bear. And what creates that is your differentiation. So it's critical at this point that you understand that whatever you create in your factory with your brand consulting company will all become what will decide when the consumer wants to pick option A over option B. So what's the critical factor here? Differentiate. If you don't differentiate, your business will die. So why should you brand? Let me go straight into it. Why should you brand? Why? What's all this buzz about branding? What's all the noise about it? Suddenly, everybody is interested in branding because we found out that in a mass market of too many pool of choices and unlimited resources, people only choose the products that they can remember or they can relate to, or whose communication connects with their innate desires or aspirations. So, first of all, why must you brand? Branding brings you into light and help people to recognize your existence. Without branding, nobody knows you exist. So, what branding does is brings you into the light and helps people recognize that you actually existed. If without branding, you're like a man or woman winking in the dark. You know what you're doing, but nobody else sees what you're doing. So, branding ensures that you come into the light. It also improves your visibility. Branding helps you get visibility externally, globally. So not just among your customers, but also among your stakeholders and investors. So it's a two-way thing. Your stakeholders, it gives you visibility with your stakeholders, and also it gives you visibility with customers, both the existing customers and it will be customers, the targets. Okay. So why else should you brand? Branding plays a major role in the success of every business. Without branding, nobody knows you exist. One. Two, without branding, branding gives you visibility, but also plays a major role in your success. Because with visibility comes credibility. With credibility comes brand purchase. With brand purchase comes repeated purchase. With repeated purchase, you now get brand loyalty. When you have brand loyalty, is when customers and consumers keep on purchasing your product, it ultimately gives you success in the business. Why else must you brand? If you want your consumers to buy your products or services, you will need to focus on your branding. So let me ask this now, as I pause. Are you really a brand? Are you a commodity? Are you branded? If not, why are you not branded? Is there any reason why you're not branded? So branding ensures that consumers would get to know your brand. It ensures that they will recognize you. It also ensures that they choose your product and your service against other services in the market. Okay, I'm going to go now. Okay, one of my other favorite quotes now from Philip Kotler. Philip Kotler says, "The art of marketing is the art of brand building. The art of marketing is the art of brand building. If you're not a brand, you're a commodity. If you're not a brand, it means you're a commodity. Any country that is not branded is a commodity, is in the commodity market. In other words, you cannot be placed in any category, either luxury or lower end market. It means you're not branded. So the art of marketing is the art of brand building. If you're not a brand, you are a commodity. If you want your startup to be valued for what you have created and want to stand out in a crowd, branding is the way to go. For example, many companies make running shoes, but only Nike sells the experience. Just do it. Nike sells you the experience. GT Bank says, who can remember what GT Bank's payoff is? Who can remember First Bank? Who can remember Rolls Royce? Who can remember Volvo? Now, the promise is the top of mind recall. Each time you come in contact with that brand, what comes to your top of mind? Nike says, just do it. So let me pause here and ask you, what is your brand experience with your own brand? What do you think is the experience that people go through when they come in contact with your personal and corporate brand? This is food for thought. If you cannot quantify what people go through at this point, it means you need to pause your brand immediately and have a rethink. What is the experience that people go through when they come in contact with your brand? For just 1 second, think about it. it must be positive. It must be relatable. It must be a tangible, a feel that you can almost, you can actually touch it. So what do people, 6 reasons why startups need branding. 6 reasons why startups need branding. I'll start with the first one. Branding gives your business a unique identity. It creates a unique, differentiated identity. There are too many brands competing for the same attention, the same category in the market. So what branding does, it gives you a unique selling point. It makes you different from brand A and from brand C. As if you're brand B, it differentiates you from the A and the B's to the Z. So branding gives your business a unique identity. The word is unique, an identity. Your branding must always add value by creating a unique identity for your business. All right. Number 2, branding helps you stay in the market long term. When you are branded, people can relate with you. That's why I mentioned the first purchase attempt, repeat purchase, and then continuous purchase that gives you brand loyalty. So it helps you stay in the market long term. Branding is critical for brands that want to stay in the market long term. It ensures that you stay in the market long term beyond the immediate, short term, but it's more of long term, and then what we call the continuum. All right. Number 3, branding helps increase your visibility. In the midst of competition, you are visible. So when you close your eyes and you think of any brand in that category, in any category, let's take, for instance, cars. When you close your eyes and think, what's the first brand that comes to your mind when you think of a safe car? When you think of a car that is luxurious and also fantastic engineering, what comes to your mind when you close your eyes and think? How about a hotel in the world or in Nigeria that's comfortable, world-class service? When you close your eyes and think, which hotel comes to your mind? Top of mind recall is created based on visibility. So branding helps increase your visibility, okay? Number 4, I go to the 4th one now. Branding improves your traction in the market, proves your traction, short term, mid term, long term. So I asked again, do you have traction right now as both your personal brand and your corporate brand? Is there any traction in your market? Do you have traction? If you don't, another reason for you to pause your branding process and review it again. All right, I go to number 5. Branding helps you establish a strong image for your business. It establishes the word is strong. When your branding is strong, it gives you visibility, and then it increases top of mind recall. Top of mind recall comes to bear when you have a strong imagery. I mentioned just now, when you close your eyes and think of a car category that's fast and fantastic engineering, what comes to your mind? Imagery. That's at the point when people start making decisions without you being involved. You've done your bit. At the point when they're about to take a decision on which brand to buy, it's the image you create in their mind that gives them what we call top of mind recall. And that brand, that imagery must be differentiated and unique. All right. So I go to the 6th one. Branding helps you resolve the issues of customers. With branding, it automatically, when a customer is trying to decide, or a target audience, which brand to pick or which brand not to pick, you've already helped them in taking a decision. Most of the time, you will never be there when they take a decision to buy a product or a service. The branding, what it does is it resolves the issues with customers in terms of choices, especially when you have a market full of competition. When there's a lot of competition, branding resolves that issue for you because it creates top of mind recall. All right. Ashley Friedlin says this: the brand is the sum total of how someone perceives a particular organization. But guess what? Brand is about shaping that perception. So a brand is the sum total of how someone or people perceive a particular organization. Branding is about shaping that perception. So branding shapes perception. Is your branding shaping the perception of your consumers about your product or service right now? Like I asked earlier before, what is the top of mind recall for your brand in the market? Can you gauge it? When people close their eyes and think of your brand, what comes to their mind? Is it service delivery, customer service, quality products, impeccable service. What comes to people's mind after they come in contact with your product and service is critical. So a branding is some total of how someone perceives a particular organization. But branding is about shaping. So what branding does, it shapes the perception. And it's continuous. It's not a one-off. Branding is not about. It's not a one-off event. It's continuous. You keep on improving on it. You keep on working on it. So branding is about shaping. If you notice the word shaping is active, shaping is consistent. You keep on working on your brand until you get to a point where you go to the next level. The day you stop working on your brand is the day you've decided that the brand should die. It's a lifelong process. There's a phase 1, there's a phase 2, and there's what I call the brand continuum. It never stops. Okay, I move on now. So what are the 5 ways you can improve your brand visibility as a startup? What are the 5 ways? 1, ensure a consistent brand identity. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of startups make and a lot of firms is that they are not consistent with their brand identity. You must be consistent. The key word here is consistency. The moment you stop being consistent with your brand identity, there's what we call brand distortion and erosion. People do not know which values to ascribe to your brand. For instance, on your letterhead, how is your logo? How is your brand reflected? On your call card, is there disparity between the branding on your letterhead, call cards, and envelopes, and then on the signage on your walls? If there's no consistency in articulation of those values, there will be brand erosion, okay? Now, brand identity reflects your brand's values also. It's critical. So don't forget I said, ensure a consistent brand identity. You must be consistent with your identity, and also stands for the quality of your products and determines how people will feel when interacting with you. So it's critical that people, when they come in contact with your brand, they understand those values. They must be consistent. You can't have wishy-washy standards in terms of your brand identity and the values. So, for instance, if you are a brand that claims to be the friendly brand, increase your brand identity, you must ask yourself some questions. What are the colors that reflect friendliness and gaiety? So in choosing even your colors, you must also tie that branding and brand identity to your values. So those are the elements that reflect in creating your brand identity. And then when you create the brand identity, it must be consistent in terms of your values. So it's consistency that's critical. Brand identity reflects your brand values. It also stands for the quality of a product and determines how people will feel when interacting with you. So if you're the friendly brand, ensure that every element of your branding reflects friendliness. If you're an intellectual brand, ensure that every element of your branding reflects intellectual capacity and content development. Okay? So branding ensures the consistent brand identity. That's critical, number 1. So I go to the second point. Okay, sorry, still on the same point. To create a unique brand identity, you first need to understand critical, your target audience. Have you ever asked yourself, who are you competing with? Do you understand the target audience, the people you want to sell to? Do you understand their values, their needs, if they even require your services? Do you understand their psychography and their demographics? Do you understand the makeup of that target that you want to sell to? How about the competition? Have you ever thought about them? So in creating a unique brand identity, you must factor these following elements. Who you want to sell to, which is, the target audience, your competition, as well as your brand strengths and weaknesses. Have you ever sat down to ask yourself this simple question? Have you ever done a SWOT analysis? Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. If you've not done that, please pause. Your journey has to pause. You have to sit down again, go back to the drawing board, and ask yourself these questions. Who are your target audience? Who are your competition? And then understand your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. You have to factor all that in so that by the time you create your brand identity, you are putting your best foot forward, having understood your brand internally and before you now promote it on the external. Most brands make the mistake of going from the external before they go into the internal. No, you build from inside to take your brand to the outside. I repeat again, you build from the inside to take your brand to the outside, not from the outside to the inside. Take note, you build from the inside to take your brand to the outside, to the external. Okay, move on. So based on this data now, don't forget we're talking about the information you created. Based on the data, you need to choose the right brand. I talked about it, the brand. How do you want to speak? How do you want people to, what kind of tone? What's the brand language? You look at the Startup Summit. The color is turquoise green, very friendly. It also reflects warmth, calmness. So what colors will you choose in terms of your Pantone? What will be your message, your language? Okay. How about the story? How about the messaging? How about the logo design? What should it reflect? It should reflect global branding, not local. It should reflect globalization. That's thinking global and playing local. Global. Most startups feel that they're too small to go global. No, with the Internet of Things now, you can play on a global scale. So start from day one to think global. Don't think small. When you think small, you mean that small space. Think global so that your standards are also global. Very critical. So based on the data you've developed from the first to the other slide, you put together your brand language, your brand storyline, your messaging, the colors, the whole gamut of your brand, what I call the brand cathedrals, must be critical. And then you have to now be consistent in applying them across all online and offline channels, depending on which of them you decide to use. Sorry. Now let me state this categorically. You don't have to be on every platform. I tell startups, you don't have to be on every platform. If you decide to deploy Instagram, understand how it works. If you decide to deploy Facebook, understand how it works. Understand the algorithm of all those platforms. You don't have to be on every platform, and you dissipate energy and resources. Be consistent. If you decide to deploy any platform, be consistent on your message and your content. With time, you're going to get traction, and people will start noticing your content. That is when they start purchasing your services. So it's all about being consistent, like I said earlier on, okay? I move on. Number 2, put your customers first. Put your customers first. The effects of experiential marketing, which is well beyond the experience. The goal is to build brand advocates. So the idea, put your customer first. You have to build what I call advocates. It's like a tribe of clients. Tribe. You have to build brand advocates. Brand ambassadors that will talk about you even when you're not in the room. So when they come in contact with your brand, they live with a feel-good feel. So they go everywhere they go. They become independent brand ambassadors on behalf of your brand. So the question I'll ask again, do you have brand advocates that have, based on coming in contact with you, are now referring other customers to you? If you don't have that, if you can't say that with confidence, it's also critical for you to also pause and reflect on the quality of your service and the offering. Your service must be friendly. You must leave people, when they come in contact with you, they should leave you fulfilled. I repeat, the customers must become a brand advocate, your ambassador. For that reason, we need to put the audience first, but also keep it on the brand. So you put your audience first, but also keep your eyes on the brand. But the experience must be positive, that they become brand ambassadors and brand advocates on your behalf, okay? Move on. So make it worth sharing. So is it worth sharing your content? If you're thinking about investing in experiential marketing, make sure to create strong impressions. So whatever you invest in, whether you decide to make it experiential or online, or whatever strategy you deploy, ensure that you create a very strong impression on contact. What do I mean by strong impression? When they come in contact with your content, does it leave them with a yearning? In creating your content, you must factor in these few words, these words. I call it the AIDA principle. AIDA. AIDA. It's a terminology we deploy in marketing. But I've added an S to it. So I'll explain that to you so you can understand how to create the experience. A is for awareness. So you create an awareness. So in creating your communication materials, you must meet the standards of AIDA. Does it create awareness? Whatever you're trying to create, would it create the awareness first? Would it create interest? Would it create interest? Would it create interest in your brand? D, would it create the desire to purchase? Finally, the A, would it create action? So whatever you put into your content, make it worth sharing by abiding by these principles. A, awareness, interest, desire, action. Then you add the S, sustenance. You must sustain it long term. So if you're thinking about investing in experiential marketing, make sure to create very strong impressions based on the AIDA principle, okay? And then ensure that those experiences connect emotionally with your target consumers, or else they will just read through and they will never take action. So the essence of putting your communication, your content together is to make sure it is worth sharing. So when people come in contact with it, will they share it? Will it be so impactful that they will be called to action, not just to take an action positively by purchasing your service, but they will also want to share the experience with other people. So make it worth sharing. Okay. So, fourthly, publish awesome articles. It doesn't cost much. Publish things online. What it does for you is it creates the desired perception for your brand as authentic. By creating highly valuable, authentic, and fresh content and publishing on relevant blogs, you will also position yourself as a startup. You automatically position yourself as an authoritative source of information. Now, the question I'll ask is, what type of content do you want to create? Is it useful to people? Is this stuff that will add value to their businesses and their lives? A lot of us have our phones, but we're lazy to Google. So if your content makes life easy for people in 5-10 lines, they get addicted to coming to your page, and gradually they become brand advocates, and automatically they rely on you for information. So it must be an awesome, inspiring content that will inspire people. So if it's not inspiring, then don't publish it. It must be awesomely, the word I use is awesomely awesome. If your content is not awesomely awesome, it's not worth sharing. If your content is not awesomely awesome, it's not worth sharing. All right? I move on now. Then, fifthly, you can also create brand buzz with influencer marketing. Even though influencer marketing has become a buzzword over the past few years, it is still incredibly effective as boosting brand visibility. Yes, influencer marketing is good because what it does is also cost effective. You can rate it, you can gauge it, you can see the eyeballs. So you can deploy, if you have the budget, you can deploy influencer marketing as against deploying your content, you're dissipating your budget across all platforms. So pick your content, ensure that you have the right content. And then even as a startup, you can also deploy influencer marketing. So you get an influencer to endorse your product, and automatically what that does for you, it creates authenticity, authenticates your product and service. Okay? You just need to connect with the influencers that are relevant to your niche. That's it. Some of them will not even charge you anything for it, based on relationships. Some of them come at a premium. Based on relationships, also you can work around that. All right? Okay. Jay Bayer says this. He says, branding is the art of aligning what you want people to think about your company with what people actually do think about your company, and vice versa. Aligning what you want people to think about your company with what people actually do think about your company. So branding is the art of alignment, art of aligning what you want people to think about your company with what people actually think. So the question I ask again is this: what do people think about you and your service? In just 1 second, just think about it. What do people think about you and your service and your offerings? Now, you need to perfect the art of aligning what they think, but if it's negative, you have to change that thought. But if it's positive, you need to upgrade your services now to the next level. Like I said earlier on, branding is long-term, not short-term. It's a continuum. Branding is the art of aligning what you want people to think, what you want people to think, and become with what people actually think. So, in all these processes, no matter how small or how big you are, you still deploy the same energy. You must play global. Start thinking global. Think global, play local. Your platform is a global market due to the influence of IoT. From anywhere you are, you can sell, as long as you understand how to sell and you have the right tools to sell. So I ask again, what are you really selling? What are you really selling? I'm moving to my next slide now. Increasing brand visibility from the very beginning is immensely important. So from the touch point, you must have that at the back of your mind that you are trying to increase visibility. So whatever you put, or whatever effort you put into this must be based on a long-term plan. So you ask yourself, what do you want to get out of all the efforts? From the beginning, you have to align your thoughts with the end in mind. So increasing your brand visibility from the very beginning is critically important. It allows you to stand out in an overcrowded market and gain consumers' trust. That's in summary now. It allows you to stand out. So if you put all this together, it makes you stand out and then gives you consistent visibility. All right, moving on. Most importantly, each of these practices can be implemented in numerous ways, depending on your brand's goals. So what I ask again is, do you have a goal? Why are you in the business? Why are you doing what you do? Are you doing it because everybody's doing it or because you have a passion for it? If you're in a market that you're just for the money, trust me, you will not have passion for the business. You need to have passion for what you do. You must enjoy it so it becomes a way of life for you to enjoy it and then make money out of it. So with the marketplace getting more and more crowded with passing day, it is important that you work on creating your brand and establishing your identity. It is critical, no matter how small you are. In that your niche corner, create a brand that is distinguishable, that is different. Like I said, brands rise and fall like empires. The battle for the minds of target consumers is actually fought, lost, and won at the point of purchase. It's at the point of purchase that people decide which brand to buy. You will not be there. You've done your investments, you've produced your whatever you've done, you put together is already done. It's at the point when they want to purchase that they'll decide who is the winner. And it's based on the quality of your communication, your content, and your brand. If it's not consistent, they'll pick brand A. If it's consistent and differentiated, they'll remember your brand at the point of purchase. Okay. So with the influx of competition and stuff, you need to ensure that your content, whatever you create and your branding, differentiates you from any other person else. You're not playing in a normal market. With decreasing spend, capacity to spend, and increasing options, consumers are now king. So less becomes more. Consumers are not buying what they don't need anymore. They're not making emotional decisions anymore. They are making rational decisions. So you must understand that the market has changed. With limited resources, they only invest in products and services that give them value beyond the now. They look at long-term value, all right? So understand that the market is becoming saturated. So in any category you find yourself, create a branding and strategy that will cut through the clutter and differentiate you from the competition. It's critical. Differentiation is key in any market. All right, moving on. Catrice M. Jackson says this. It says, be sensational and be remarkable. Activate your superpower and activate the star within you. Be sensational, be surprising, and be remarkable. Activate your superpower and your star power. Everybody has the capacity to create impossible. It starts with the ABCs of your brand. Do you understand your target consumer? Do you understand the competitive analysis? Have you ever sat down to define your SWOT analysis? Do you understand your brand DNA? If your answers to all these are no, you need help. So, in summary, to create an outstanding brand as a startup, you must understand that there's some basics. You don't need a big, massive budget to do that. You can do it yourself or with the help of somebody that understands the way to go. You need a mentor. So, moving on, be sensational, be surprising, and be remarkable, and activate your superstar power. Thank you, and I'm done with this session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Otudo, for this powerful presentation on branding positioning. And I believe we have a lot of questions already from our viewers. So what I would like to ask is if you will be part of the panel discussion so that you can also tackle some of the questions. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of the discussion. So we'll move swiftly ahead by getting the other panelists to join you, and then we can start to get some of the questions that the audience have already posted. So first of all, let me introduce to you Just eBay. So Just eBay is the lead consultant at the Just eBay Company, a management consulting firm with key focus on sales, marketing, and business communications. Co-founder of Inscribe Tech, a startup tech company revolutionizing content creation, distribution, and sales. She is said to be the bridge between hustle and glide. Her methods and strategies are not typical, as she works with both the emotional and psychological aspect of her audience and customers. customers to get results. She's currently an MBA student of University of South Wales, United Kingdom. She's specifically graced with identifying the one thing that serves as the bridge between what you desire and your results. She is just eBay and popularly referred to by thousands as the sales guru and the president of African startups. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the panel discussion with us, Just eBay.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
Discussion with you and your other panelists. Okay, so next that I will be introducing to you is NECA UK. NECA UK is the executive. Sorry about that. NECA of the network. She brings her passion for support businesses along with a corporate experience to support the team at Innovation Support Network, Nigeria's largest community of entrepreneurship impact hubs with over 100 member hubs. Gentlemen, please give a virtual welcome to NECA UK. Okay, so she's here with us. She cannot show her screen right now because she's in. Next up is Dr. Eno Praise. Dr. Praise sits on the board of several organizations and strategists at Todoroki Africa, which is the strategic global consulting firm that provides branding, corporate trainings, human resource, innovative strategy, consulting, operation services, and integrated media solutions. He was one of the official delegates at ICPD Global Youth Forum, Bali, Indonesia, December 2012. He is also a fellow of the ICPD Global Youth Forum since December 2012. Praise has been human resource management. He is of America, the Coal Strategist coach, and the executive business strategist of Pan-African Humanitarian Ambassador. Also, Dr. Eno.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
Is up and running. Yes.
Sorry,
and now we can see. Welcome, Dr. Eno Praise.
Thank you very much. Good day, sir. Mr. Charles Otudo.
I celebrate you, sir. Been a long while. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes, sir.
I can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Hi, Josie.
Great to be here with us, sir. Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Absolutely.
All right, the next member of the panelists that I'll be introducing to you is Chief Osasu Igbenidion. Chief Osasu Igbenidion is the CEO of TOS TV Network, a community of Pan-Africanists invested in the principles of Africa's economy, cultural, scientific, and political restoration. She's also the executive director of TOS Foundation, which focuses on the empowerment of women and girls. At TOSF, they focus on 5 thematic areas: girl child education, child marriage, violence against women and girls, and women in politics and leadership, and maternal health. Through their foundation in Pan-African community, they hope to imbibe the spirit of Ubuntu in every person of African descent and heritage, because together as women, as Black people, we're just as strong as our weakest link. Chief Osasu Igbenedion is very passionate about Africa, making a change in African governance, promoting the beauty of Africa, and improving the life of everyday people. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a resounding warm welcome to Chief Igbenedion Osasu Igbenedion of TOS TV Network. You're welcome, madam. Chief Osasu, can you hear me? Okay. And now, finally, the moderator for this session was none other than the amazing Ininform Ethic. Ininform has a unique range of experience in public relations, public communication, journalism, generational diplomacy, youth leadership, development activism, government, and the private sector, enabling her to design effective stakeholder engagement and management strategies across the board. She cuts her media teeth at NTA 12 Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, where she featured as anchor for the interview segment on Weekend Train. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the moderator for Ininform. Hi, Ininform.
Hi, Madame Marola. I love this panel. Mr. Charles Otudo, my respect. Dr. Eno Praise, good afternoon. This really is a lineup of brand gurus. So I am already feeling the smoke from here. Fantastic keynote, Mr. Charles Otudo. I caught a bit of the last couple of minutes, and I think honestly, if everyone listened to you, we probably would not need to have this panel. But the conversation must go on, and so we're here. Madame Marola, where are the rest of my panelists?
Okay, they are right.
I don't see Neka, I don't see Osasu.
I'm gonna exit now and let you take over this segment. Oh, don't worry, we will put them on the screen for you as soon as the network allows them to be back there. So I'm handing over the session to you right now, and you've got exactly 60 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and you've done amazing so far. Well done, thank you, and see you again shortly. Oh, wow, hi, good afternoon. Dr. Eno Praise, let me come straight to you first, because Mr. Charles Otudo has just been speaking, so let's let him absorb a bit. So we are having a conversation around brand positioning and visibility, and I love some of the points that were shared in the keynote. But just for the benefit of those who are popping in specifically for this panel, what would you say are the core fundamentals of brand positioning? I mean, if a brand is good, it is good, so it should be out there and doing its thing. But from the point of the brand, it may just not be so. So what would you say for any brand, irrespective of sector, what would you say are the core fundamentals of brand positioning and visibility? Dr. Eno Praise? Can you hear me? Did you hear my question? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kimmy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the question for me?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. No, I didn't. I didn't hear your question.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Dr. Praise?
I think the network is kind of creepy. Please, can you come again with the question?
Okay, great. So I'm saying, for the benefit of all those who are joining us for this panel, it's a conversation on brand positioning and visibility.
My network.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Just, can you hear him?
Yes, I can, but he keeps going off and on. So.
Okay, perhaps maybe
Yes,
we should have. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. So my question was pretty much generic. I'm saying, can you share with us what you consider as the core fundamentals of brand positioning?
Okay. First of all, there's a formula I have for brand positioning and brand visibility.
Okay, let me get my notebook.
Okay. Now, every brand has a strength. Okay. You have a strength, you have values, and you have visibility. But the core thing that stands you out is your engagement. If you do not engage, everything you have, your strength, your values, and your visibility, it's nothing. So this is the formula. Strength multiplied by engagement plus value multiplied by engagement plus visibility multiplied by engagement. That gives you an impeccable brand.
Okay,
So
we need to take that. We need to take that again for those of us.
You have the strength, the values, and visibility. If you do not engage, then you're not doing anything.
So strength multiplied by engagement plus value multiplied by.
Yeah. Okay. So I said engagement plus value multiplied by engagement plus visibility multiplied by engagement. Now, you cannot say strength multiplied by engagement minus value multiplied by engagement. No, all of them must come together. They must come together. The strength, the values, and the visibility must be together, and then you multiply it by your engagement. It's your engagement that gives you visibility. It's your engagement that gives you the market that you want. It's your engagement that brings the clients that you want. So if you are not engaging, people are not seeing what you're doing. You can be visible, but you need to engage.
That is a clear distinction. I like that. You can be visible, but if you're not engaging, nobody knows squat about you. I love that. Fantastic. I hope everyone is listening. So it's not enough to post all the beautiful pictures. You've got to engage. You've got to let us connect with your brand. Just let me come to you. Is there a right or wrong approach? Is there a right or wrong approach to brand positioning? And now Dr. Praise has told us engagement is at the top of the chain. So is there a right or wrong approach to brand positioning, to brand engagement, to visibility?
Thank you so much, Dr. Enoch Praise. I love your formula, and I literally will be sharing that with a lot of people. From my perspective, one of the things I always say to people is, if you want to be positioned, the value that you offer must be seen from the eyes of the customer. So in Africa, we have a lot of passionate entrepreneurs who are passionate about the value that they think they bring to the table. But a lot of times there's a mismatch between the value that you bring and what your customer is looking for. Same in that solution. So every entrepreneur must be able to look at the value that they offer through the lens of the customer. That way, even if you are not visible enough, as long as the customer knows that there's a solution that you have there's a problem they have and you are the solution, they can search and eventually you start to pop out gradually, either by the tags, either by the videos, either by the posts. So you must first very clearly refine your value from the eyes of the customer. If I'm looking for literally how to look good, that's what you should be projecting with your cosmetic products, not necessarily I sell cream. Do you see what I mean? So what is the customer looking for? That should be what you project ultimately at all times. That's one thing that positions you and strengthens your value in the marketplace.
Oh, fantastic. Like you just dropped that like a hot akara ball. I love it. I love it. I love it. Dr. Praise, let me come back to you before I get to touch base with
to what Justice just said.
Oh, please go ahead.
Let me just add something to what Justice just said.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so like she said, I mean, your values has to be what the clients are looking for, what they see. So your brand is who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and why you do it. So if you're doing it for the clients, it has to be something that they need, something that they want. So your brand is who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for.
Wow, I like that. Like, I could just write that as a quote and share on all my social media handles, and we're good to go. Your brand is who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it
And who you do
for.
it for.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I love it. I love it. Now, digital era. Everybody is, we feel like we slept and we woke up and somebody flung all of us in this big wide ocean that's all about digital and tech, and from all kinds of devices and platform. What would you say is the current customer behavior? I'm directing this at you now, Dr. Brace, while we're still on your end. What would you say is the current customer or client behavior towards brand now with the digital era in perspective?
Okay, first of all, we need to understand that 90% of information transmitted to our brain is visual. Now, visual are processed faster in the brain than words, 60,000 times. So the thing is this: how people see you in what sticks to you is what sticks to their mind, which triggers a remembrance of the words you say to them. For instance, you are a fashion designer. How they see you dress is what sticks to their mind than what you say to them.
Exactly.
So, like my mentor, you always say, you see, you do not dress like a suspect and expect people to take you like a prospect. So, in this digital age, people gravitate more to visual. What picture are you showing them? What picture are you selling to them? They don't want to hear words. Pictures are emotional, they attract. So if you're selling something and then it's not visual and they're not seeing it and it's not connecting to their emotions, humans buy as a reason of emotions, first of all. So whatever you're selling has to resonate with their emotions. So in this age, if you're not selling using visual, then you're going to be kicked out of the market.
That's true. Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. I know that, if there is anything that's suffering in this season, it's our eyeballs. And for those of you who have 4 eyes, you are already ahead. Because sometimes I'm just staring at between my phone, my laptop, my all kinds of devices, and then I pause and then I wipe my eyes and I blink twice, I look away, and then I come back because there's just no option than these devices. So it's really, really crazy. Just let me come back to you on this one. Like I said, we're all just groping, quite frankly, and we look at what other people are doing and we're wondering what kind of results their efforts are yielding. So what would you say are common and avoidable mistakes? Common and avoidable mistakes that brands are doing or should avoid doing presently. Also, bearing in mind that we are in this new digital era and we just have to be able to grow our brand. So what mistakes are common and avoidable, especially for young and budding brands?
Thank you so much. So 2 things I'm going to touch on very quickly. The first thing is, as brands, you must be very aware of the tides in the times we are in. Meaning, whatever platform you exist and function and do business in, you must understand the platform to know what sort of engagement, what sort of content drive engagement. That would help you position the content you're putting out. Case in point, in 2020, Consumer Insights said 74% of internet traffic will be driven by videos. And in 2021, they have said that number is going to increase by another 12%, meaning 84% in 2021 of internet traffic will be driven by videos. What this goes to say is the average human being is arrested by audio visual content. You are speaking, they can see. Basically anything that moves and anything that can talk, they can see it and it grabs their attention. What this goes to say for brands is you already have an expo, a cheat sheet to grab all the attention that you can. And let's be realistic, if you truly are studying the trends in the platforms where you are at, you would see that even if you as a person is gravitating to a certain kind of content, because that's what it is, the platform is projecting the most. So that means if you are going to get the attention of brands, you must begin to think about videos. And I'm saying this to everybody in brand, everybody in entrepreneur. That is the direction for 2021 if you are going to sustain attention with the brand that you're building. Now, it's not just to just do videos, you have to do quality videos. And when I say quality videos, put in the effort to make sure that your video look like what you would want to see as a person. What is that video that draws your attention? If you are going to Tokomakiwa's page, if you are going to Taoma's page, if you are going to Macaroni's page, there are certain things, aside from the fact that they are comedians, that drives you to that page. Well thought out content, well put together, properly shot videos. They spend money doing those things, and I can understand that some entrepreneurs will say, I don't have money to do that. Let me tell you, it's strategic. 2021 is the year where you cannot afford to leave the faith of your brand to what you think you can do. 2021 is the year to shoot your shot as best as you can do, because the competition is going to get stiffer, it's going to get crazier, the noise is going to be amplified. The big question is, are you going to be amongst those who are going to be swallowed in the noise, or you're going to be among those who are truly going to make a difference with what it is they're doing? So simply put, I'm saying do video content, but put a proper thought into the video content. Something as simple as a nice background where you are going to do video. Something as simple as proper lighting. Something as simple as a neat makeup. Something as simple as a structured system of delivering what it is you want to deliver. Something as simple as creating a structured storyline with which you want to take your customers on a journey through. What that does is it brings people coming to you. They're not just paying attention, but they are glued because they feel like you are taking them somewhere. Another thing to pay attention to is personalization of brands. Especially as young and budding brands, it's important to know that people pay attention to personal brands. It's not because corporate brands don't thrive, or you cannot have a brand that you are not the face. If you do not want to be a face, that's why big brands have brand influencers, because they realize the value of personalization. Human beings don't care what you sell until they know that you care. How do they know that you care? If they can see somebody or something that they feel like they can relate to. So in 2021, if you're one of those brands who feel like, you know what, I don't want to be seen, that's fine, but please get somebody who can be seen, so that the customers feel like they come to your page and they can relate to what is going on. And I'm saying this not just as a personal brand. I'm saying this as the president of a Pan-African organization. Our organization caters to entrepreneurs in the 55 countries in Africa. And when we started, it was imperative that somebody was the face. I had to take on the responsibility of being the face so that we can draw people. And as time goes on, every other member of the team who, you know, we agreed to be known will be known and seen. Why? Customers are drawn to people. So you must personalize your brand if you want to keep as much attention and momentum on the brand that you're building, especially in the times when we're entering into.
Sorry about that. Inemefo's got some technical issues, so she's not there. So I would like to ask Charles Otudo to share his perspective as to what are the key things that you've noticed that many companies are doing wrong when it comes to their branding. Because I think in Nigeria as a whole, they have a wrong mindset about branding. When you go to all those printers and stuff out there, they all say, I'm a branding specialist. And I'm always laughing. I'm like, no, you're not. So can you please share some light about why people have the wrong conception of what branding is all about?
You know, suddenly everybody, because of the proliferation of the term branding, even a printer is now a branding consultant. So a printer even claims the branding consultant. Meanwhile, he doesn't have a clue what creating a brand is all about. And in creating brands, we start with, first of all, the why, the reasons, the rationales behind. You must understand the intricacies behind the brand, the makeup. So a lot of these people make mistakes because they don't have an intricate understanding of what a brand is and how to manage that brand. So the basic mistake a lot of startups make is that they assume that putting a logo and everything else out there is a brand. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to build on a platform. What's the platform you're selling? Do you understand your brand well? Before you can even create a brand, first mistake, you just create because someone else is doing this. You just want to join the bandwagon. So one, they don't identify who they are, their core attributes, the target consumer, the competitive analysis, and then their core brand DNA. That defines them. Once you can define that, that's a common mistake I see. So when you can define all that, it's not easy for you to now create a brand entity that is sustainable long term. It's not a one-off, it's a long-term process. So most of the time, the mistakes they make are based on ignorance. And because at the end of the day, when they go further, they find out that they create, there's a what I call the donut effect. There's a donut effect there's a hollowness between what they promise they can deliver and what they really deliver. So that gap is where branding comes in, the promise and the delivery. And it takes a lot of work putting together that your content and ensuring that your promise is connected to your delivery from all the touch points. A brand is also an experience, a total experience. So from the inside to the outside, like I said, so the biggest mistake they make is they want to create the externality to having the prerequisite internal content or structure to sustain the promise they create on the outside. Hope that answers that.
Yes, that's. I really love what you said, and I do agree with the fact that ignorance is one of the biggest issues that we're having. And the more people are informed about branding and how to position themselves in a way that actually resonates with their target audience, the better people will be able to brand themselves. So I want to ask Dr. Enoch Praise, as an individual, because many people also don't understand that branding is in three components. We've got corporate branding, we've got personal branding, and we've also got product branding. How have you been able to build your personal brand to be able to reflect your core values so that people understand who you are, what you're passionate about, and how you mesh it with your company profile as well? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, over the years, I've studied a couple of people. One of the people I studied is Charles Otudo, you know, and then I went further to study A.J. Adams. A.J. Adams is a brand strategist in the United States. Yeah. And then Elon Musk. I mean, one of the people I respect so much is Elon Musk. Now, if you check Elon Musk, he has more Twitter followers than 3 of his company combined together. Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity. Now, it's as a result of his personal brand. Like I will always say, people will connect with you first before they connect with your business. So what I had to do was to get people to connect with me. You know, so I knew that the first thing people see is your outward appearance. So I needed to dress well. I needed to represent what I was selling. So like my friends will always say, you can never catch an operator dressed down, even when he's strolling out to buy something. Because at every point, I am selling my brand and they need to see it on me. The thing is, people will always see the container before they see the content. You are the container. You are the container. So if the container is not properly packaged, people might not, I'm careful to use the word might not necessarily listen to the content that you have. So the first thing you need to do is your physical appearance. What works for you? Like I said some time ago to someone, I said, if you walk into a shop, yeah, the dress is fabulous, but if it does not fit, if it does not size, do not buy it. Because what people will see you, they see first is your physical appearance. Before you even start talking, they look at you, they size you up. And then when you start talking, and you're talking about branding, and they look at you and there's no synergy. They're like, this one is not serious. So what I had to do was build on my personal brand. I began to dress well, and I began to I built what I call the executive presence. Now, executive presence is your ability to walk into a room and then command the presence that everyone turns around to like wonder, who is he? Where is he from? So I built a presence around myself, and then people began to listen. People got attracted, and when they get attracted to me, I begin to talk about myself and then direct them to my business. So the first thing you need to do is your physical appearance. People need to see who you are, and then it has to resonate with what you're selling. If they cannot see that, then there's nothing that can work. It's a personal brand that comes first. For instance, look at Tony Elumelu. You would connect with Tony Elumelu first before you connect with his businesses because of his impeccable personal brand. And then he has executive presence. Now look at Fela Kuti, the same thing. Most of the successful entrepreneurs across the world, they've been able to build what I call the executive presence. With that, they've been able to attract people and drag people into their businesses. So that's the first thing you need to do. Build your personal brand. Know what you're called to do. Know what you want to do. Know everything about it. For instance, I decided some years ago that I was going to change the color of clothes I wear, and I started wearing black also. And people wondered why. And I began to begin to teach them about psychology of color. I mean, so people do not understand this, but when you begin to do certain things, you attract people to begin to ask questions. And when they begin to ask questions, you have an opportunity, you have an opening, you have a window to begin to teach them what you do, why you do it, and the benefit it has for them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Enoch Praise. And I completely agree with you that first, before they see the content. People are way more moved by our image, the way we show up. So we need to be very mindful about how we show up, because people are from people, and our perception is first of all intrinsic with how we show up. So thank you for sharing that. So I want to ask Nneka UK as to what are the ways that you feel. Is Nneka here? Can you hear me? Hi, Nneka. Finally, we can see your beautiful face. Welcome to the Startup Summit.
I sit on all standing protocol.
I wanted to ask you that. What is the... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So I wanted to ask you that when it comes to brand consistency, yes, can you hear me? Brand consistency, which were one of the things that Councillor Tudor mentioned in his presentation. Why do you think people struggle to be able to actually define who they are? Because when you ask people, what do you do? The answer can be as ambiguous as anything. As people struggle to define what they do and who they are. So can you throw some light as to why many people are trying to champion this I'm a multi-entrepreneur, I do so many things, and then they can't even introduce themselves or introduce the business in a way that is clear and concise? Thank you. The screen is freezing. Okay, so we've lost her. So I'll ask Babe to answer that question for me as to why do many brands, whether personal brands or corporate, struggle to be able to identify and actually communicate that brand in an effective manner to their target audience. Brand communication. Can you hear me, Justin?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Yes, because we've lost
Okay.
the other speaker, so we lost the neck.
Okay. Okay, good. So one of the things I've realized that that makes a lot of young entrepreneurs or budding brands not stay consistent is because I think we live in a world where the proper narratives are not sold. And I think this statement may be a bit controversial, but this is what I've observed because I've worked with a lot of young entrepreneurs, a lot of them across the world. We all operate on a platform where majority of the times what is projected is people or brands who have done well over the years building their brand to who they are today. And so you find these young people coming into the same arena and paying attention to the established brands and looking at where they are with where these brands are currently positioned or playing in the market. It almost feels as though, when is it going to be my turn? It almost feels as though, when is it going to be me too? So I feel like that narrative has been sold for so long that the young people don't necessarily understand that in building any good brand, it takes consistent effort over a period of time. It doesn't matter how good and how great your product is or how beautiful or well put together everything you have going on is, it's still going to take some time. So I think one of the reasons people fall across the way is because they've done it for 3 months, they've done it for 6 months, and they feel like it's not adding up. They're like, you know what, this is not for me, and then they fall across the line. What I think we as a people can begin to do is sell a narrative that, yes, we know you can do this, but it takes time. You must be consistent over a period of time. Another thing that I believe is people don't necessarily understand why they are in that business. Understanding your why at every point in any business is a great denominator, or is a great pointer to how long you're going to stay in that business. Who is it you're doing this for? And if you don't do it, what is going to happen to those species of people? If you don't offer that solution, what is going to happen to, the people who have these problems? And do you even have an absolute conviction in what it is that you do enough to last while you are growing that business or that brand? Because that why and that conviction are two factors that would help you stay consistent, even if it looks like it's not going as you have planned. And just to cap this off, one of the things I feel like we can begin to do actively for the young entrepreneurs is proper mentoring. And mentoring not just to grow their businesses, but mentoring in terms of even their psychological well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being while they're building brands. Building a brand in Africa, it's a tough one. And while we are grooming these young people, there should be groups of people who really hold them, mentor them, to be able to stay through the tides of time to grow the brands that we are going to grow. And truly speaking, the future of the African continent is dependent on how well we do a good job with these young people, because inside of them are solutions, game-changing solutions that are answers to the problems we have faced as a people for the longest of time. But because they are falling through the cracks, we are losing real-time solutions that can potentially turn our economy around as a people and as a continent. So we, as all the people who to some extent have navigated that terrain, must actively begin to mentor these young ones, young brands, to be able to grow through this period until their solutions become, very sustainable enough to stand the test of time.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin, for that very, very in-depth answer. System. Who are you? What exactly are you trying to do? What you call to serve? So it's nice to have Chief Osazu on the platform with us finally. So we're going to ask her this next question: that how do you infuse your personality into your branding? Because at the end of the day, we talk about being true to yourself, and many people are working as copycats or trying to exemplify other people when they, so for instance, I can say, oh, I like the way Just Ibe does her thing, and then I try and speak like Just Ibe. I try and post like Just eBay. I try and do my videos like Just eBay, and that way my personality doesn't come out. So, what would you say as to how can you infuse your personality in an authentic way when building your brand and visibility? And that question is to Chief Osasu Ibenidi. You may
Also,
unmute
your
your
mic is
madam.
muted.
Can you hear me now?
Your mic is muted. Yes, it's unmuted. Thank you.
Hello?
Go ahead,
Yes,
please.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh dear. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
We can hear you, Osasu.
Oh, okay. Again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so sorry for coming in late. I was stuck in traffic after a shoot. Not an excuse, but again, I really do apologize. Thank you for that question. If I can clarify it, you asked how do we stay authentic to our brands? How do we let our personality shine through when trying to build an authentic brand? Is that correct?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, that's the
That's
question.
correct. That's correct, madam.
Okay. Well, for me personally, I always, in fact, to be very honest, it's been kind of a struggle. Just a short recap of my story. I moved back to Nigeria in 2014, and when I moved back, I literally just dove straight into journalism. I was looking for a way to bridge the gap between those Nigerians that don't have a voice, the less privileged, and those Nigerians who seemingly have everything. So that's how the Osasu Show came about. How do I take words from the mouths of everyday Nigerians to the ears of their leaders and vice versa? And while doing that, I realized that most of myself, or most of the self that was being portrayed, was my professional side. So after 5.5 years of building that professional brand, that brand of integrity, that brand of reliability, that brand of very intense, deep intellect, I realized that there was another side of me that was being missing. The more social, the more playful, the more youthful side that a lot of my fans and audiences didn't get to interact with. So starting this year, 2020, I've actually made a very conscious effort to also highlight that very youthful side of myself, which actually my friends would say consists of like 90% of Osasu. So in building your brand, I believe it's good to build a holistic brand so people understand that it's not just Osasu the journalist, but there's also Osasu the auntie, the Osasu the adventurer, the Osasu that loves to experience and live life to the fullest. And I've been consciously taking an effort to do that lately. Some of the things I love doing when I'm not working, I love traveling, I love experiencing new culture, new food, new wine, dancing. And right now on social media, I've made a conscious effort to put that sort of material out there. So people who are watching will know that at just 28 years old, it is okay to be female, it is okay to own your television station, it is okay to meet with the who is who in society. It's okay to influence policies, influence laws. It's okay to, and it's possible, not just it's okay, it's possible to do these things. So in branding yourself, it's also very important that you make a conscious effort, at least in my position today, because for the past 5.5 years, I've been able to establish that career woman, brand. But now it's okay for me to show the other side of Osasu. So young women, young people in general can also look up to my brand and say, okay, I want to emulate that. I want to be like that. And if Osasu can do it, female, 28 years old, based in Nigeria, then I can do it as well. So that's what I do. And that's what, I've learned over the years. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much for that. It really does help for people to understand that our personality has a way of shining through in whatever we do, especially as
Madam Marilla, can I add something?
Came up with the archetypes. Sorry?
Can I add something
Hello?
very quickly?
Just Ibe, was that you?
Can I add something very quickly?
Please, very quickly. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things I've observed,
Go ahead,
especially for a
Justine.
time such as this, is that we are in an era where a lot of people have multi potentials, multiple potentials. And as young people, as young brands, as upcoming brands, there's always this division in their heads or in their minds. What do I really want to be known for? I have so many things going on in my life right now. What do I hold on to? And popular school of thought is you have to be known for one thing before you do all the other things. So there are lots of young people literally in this dilemma every day as to what they should do. And if you're listening to me today, you're a young brand and you feel like you have a lot of things going on in your life, it's okay. There is nothing wrong with you. God created you that way. And what God would expect you to do is find expressions to those different things at different times in your life, especially putting proper structure. So that means it's okay if you want to be a politician, but right now you just sell clothes, right? And then you could begin to build your fashion brand and gradually begin to infuse that other part of you that has some political, political passion or zeal, and begin to infuse it gradually. But one of the things I would always say to you that pick it one step at a time. Establish structure in one of them so that they can run without you actively being there all the time. Then you can begin to layer out gradually all the different areas of you as you grow in your life. Because we want you to really be able to live out who you are completely in your lifetime. Nobody should make you feel like you have to be boxed in a corner throughout your life. But make sure you identify them and the times when we're in, what is the most important? Roll it out. Put structures in that. Let it run. Pull out the other. But if you feel like all the different things going on in your life have a way of blending them together, figure out the balance, then begin to blend together. But make sure you're not taking on too much at the time, so you're not confusing your audience. But eventually, you will live your life as you want to live it, every part of it to the fullest.
Yeah, and I'm really happy, Stevie, because I happen to be a multi-potentialite as well. And for a long time, I also struggled with trying to define who I was in only one lane. And what I decided and what I learned anyway to do over time, and especially as a personal branding strategist, was to be able to define what the core of me. So I believe that once you can find out what the core of your message or your status is, as in what you want to be known for, then you can build everything else too. So your skill set will start to align together. So Nick, I hope we're going to be able to hear from you today, because every time I call you, it keeps going off screen. So I wanted to ask you about the issue of brand competence versus certification. We have people that they are constantly having this imposter syndrome, whereby they don't want to, they think, oh, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not experienced enough. So what would you say is that you can help people to identify why brand competence work is very important? Because if you're not competent at something, then of course you're going to people are not going to find you credible, right? So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, so I'll speak to that as a brand professional and also as the owner of a brand. You asked a question earlier, and my village people insisted I should not answer. And the answer to that question about how you find expression and how you're consistent is authenticity. And the same thing also plays out when you are talking about brand competence versus qualifications. In all honesty, imposter syndrome has nothing to do with qualifications, right? You can have 2 masters and you still have imposter syndrome, right? So it has nothing to do with qualification. It has everything to do with believing that you deserve to be in that space, you deserve to be in that room, on that table, and you deserve to have a voice. So as a small brand, first of all, be authentic to yourself, right? If you're not a fashionista and you really follow come, why are you selling clothes? Why are you doing fashion consultants? My sister, it's not that serious. Follow what is authentic to you, so that if they catch you anywhere at any point in time, see Dr. Praise, he said he doesn't have a bad dress day. Some of us, we can't claim that. We can't. So you need to be authentic to yourself, right? Even as a brand, whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is, because everybody's selling something, right? There's this really utopian school of thought. I don't sell, I create. No, bro, everybody's selling something. If not, we'll all be hungry. So whatever it is you're selling, you need to own it. You need to know that this is your space. And another thing is there's another word that gets thrown around a lot: passion, right? It's your passion, it's your passion, it's your passion. The gentlemen at Idumota that are selling tire, is that their passion? The people that are bringing, the men that are bringing the hair that is now being resold on Instagram, is that their passion? Please let us be focused. Be committed to whatever it is you want to do. Be authentic to yourself, and also give yourself the fluidity to know that you are not a tree. Whatever it is you're doing now, like for those that, like we've mentioned, that are blessed with multiple talents, there's room for transition. There's room for a 2020 what? There's room to pivot. You know, there's room. So just express yourself, but wherever you find yourself at any point in time, as a career person, as a brand professional, as a brand owner, as a startup, as an SME, as a student, as any person, just be authentic to yourself and own your space. And know that you are valid, and your opinions, wherever you are and whatever it is you're doing at that point in time, is valid. And that takes care of the imposter syndrome. And another thing that I say is not a very popular thing, but it's so critical for me. Whatever it is you're doing at any point in time, just have fun.
Yeah. Okay, Nneka, thank you so much for saying that. And I'm actually going to challenge you a little bit on what you said, because when Dr. Eno Praise mentioned the fact about him not having a bad day when it comes to how it looks, it's very important that we don't make excuses, because what makes us different is brands and not a commodity, is the fact that we put in the effort. So we don't want people to make excuses and start to use that excuse. I'm having a bad day today. That's the reason why I didn't show up. Yeah, it was raining and stuff like that. As someone who wants to be taken seriously as a brand, you can't afford to have a bad day, because you are not ruled by your emotions or your circumstances. That's why I like to say that personal branding is a 24/7 job. It's not for the faint-hearted. You need to be serious, and then you need to understand that even though we might understand that you're going through challenges, the customer doesn't care. The person that's trying to work with you doesn't care about your excuses.
I understand that.
So I just want to
appreciate that.
Nneka, sorry. I just want to Sorry, let me finish. So I just want us to understand that because we are on a virtual summit and people are listening, let's not give them the invitation to start to make excuses. I get your point 1000%, but I just wanted to put that in there, that let's also be mindful as business owners or whatever we're trying to represent ourselves as serious-minded brands, that we need to show ourselves in the best light possible. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry, we've run out of time. So I will allow you to speak during your wrap-up session. So please permit me to just let you pause for a little bit, because I'm going to get everyone to do a wrap-up. So whatever you want to say, you can say it at that time. So thank you so much for your understanding. So I'm going to ask Dr. Eno Praise to give us his final words and thoughts on personal branding and visibility as we end this panel, because we've got another session that is going to start in the next few minutes. So Dr. Eno Praise will go first. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, my last word: without a brand, you become a commodity that competes on price.
That's right.
Without a brand, you become a commodity that competes on price. What gives you the ability and the strength to charge premium is your impeccable personal brand. So build it. Build it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eno, for that great summary, short and sweet. Without a brand, you become a commodity that competes on price. I would like to ask Osasu Ibonidion to give her closing remarks as to her stand on branding and visibility. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again. And once again, I apologize for coming in late. So for me, branding is what we've all encapsulated in our various speeches and remarks today. It's very important to not only dress how you want to be addressed, but also position and brand yourself the way you want to be taken and the way you want to be received by people. Most times when you go in and bid for a contract or you go into a meeting, the first thing that they're looking at is not what's inside this person's heart or what's this person's personality from time immemorial. It's the way you brand yourself. It's the way you carry yourself. So it's very important that that brand always matches up to the outcome in which you want to receive. So again, for me, I believe, at least I'm in a stage in my career or in my life right now where I believe it's important to portray a holistic brand, because I want to be able to encourage young women. I want to be able to encourage young people that you can achieve what it is that I have achieved at just 28 years old. So it's important that I show my playful side. It's important that I show my serious side. And it's important to show people that you can be whole. You can have it all, you know, as long as you're willing to put in the work and make the sacrifices that it takes to get it. So again, key takeaways from this conversation: branding is important, branding is intentional, and branding will help you achieve those goals and objectives that you have set out for yourself. So thank you so much for tuning into this summit, and I hope it was an impactful and insightful.
Thank you so much. I love the fact that you said branding is intentional, and I truly believe that that is the key word. So, Justin Bay, please, can you give your closing remark in just 1 minute, because we're running out of time, and the next session needs to start right now. Justin Bay, thank you so much.
Two things to note: if you're a young and budding entrepreneur, you are the driver of our economy, because you guys make 50% of every economy on the African continent. So carry yourself as though you truly matter. Another thing you must pay attention to is there is collaboration that will give you guys a lot more visibility. So I know that as a young brand, a lot of people may not be paying attention to you because you have 1,000 followers. Guess what you need to do? Pay attention to your same startups who have 2,000 followers, 1,005. You guys begin to collaborate together so that you are leveraging each other's community for a lot more brand visibility. And the more you guys continue to do that, what will happen is in the next 5 months, 6 months, you will have created traction that you ordinarily wouldn't have created. You were waiting for the big brand to come and shine the spotlight on you. So leverage what you have right now. Collaborate with a lot of people, and you will see that there is no stopping what you guys can accomplish within the shortest possible time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That no matter what level you are at, there's something golden in your hand, and collaboration is a key tool that you need to use to be able to increase your branding visibility. And of course, now to my final guest here, Nneka UK, what is your closing remarks, and of course your input to what I said earlier? Thank you.
I'll just tie in, and again, apologies for joining late. I was following the whole conversation, and I'll just tie in, right? Branding for small brands is critical, right? Consistency, authenticity, relatability is critical. And one of the things that makes small brand owners, so your brand needs to be consistent, right? If you, Mr. Otudo talked about it, your packaging, your positioning and all of that, thinking local. But you and Justin talked about it earlier as well, how you as the brand owner or the face of the brand, people want to see you, and you need to be relatable, right? So except you are selling a consultancy product like Dr. Praise, if you are a small brand, don't give yourself that pressure of I must have my makeup on 24/7 if you're a woman. People want to see that you are a human being. And this is what I meant. You need to be authentic and relatable. And it's also what Osasu was talking about when she was talking about being holistic. So we're all saying the same thing, right? One way or another. You need to be consistent. You need to be authentic. And please, for goodness sake, have fun. This life is really not that serious. And it's really not that deep. And be very deliberate. Be very deliberate, right? So if today you're sure, I mean, it's just people want to see that you're a real human being, right? And there are a lot of things that tech is going to be able to take from us, but that emotional connection to another human being is something that will never be taken away. So own your brand as a product owner, own your brand as a personal brand, be authentic, be consistent, and just have fun.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to say a big thank you to all our panelists, starting from our keynote speaker, Mr. Charles Tudor, and of course, Dr. Enoch Praise, Nick UK, Osasu Igonidion, Just eBay. And I want to say thank you to our moderator that had network issue and was bumped out in Info Etuk for sharing your points and view on brand positioning and visibility. And we look forward to everyone building their epic personal brands, of course, and their corporate brands, because branding is important and it would make a difference and also separate you from being a commodity. So we are running out of time. So I want to say a big thank you and end the session because we have the next session starting right about now. God bless you all for joining us. Thank you so much, our awesome panelists. You guys rock. You guys are so amazing, and we want to say thank you. So as we take you off the stream, we have other questions out there. We'll send them to you to answer as well. And of course, people that are watching, Google them, follow them on the social media, and connect with them because they are truly experts in their fields. All right, God bless you guys. And now we're off to the next session.
Thank you all.
Thank you.